If you think hunger and financial stress are only problems for the poor, think again. Talk to thousands of middle-class Americans in 2025, and you'll hear a different story. Once the bedrock of American stability, the middle class is being squeezed like never before. Not because they're not working hard, but because hard work isn't enough anymore. Groceries, rent, gas, electricity, it's all going up. Paychecks? Staying the same. Or worse, disappearing after a layoff. Today, we're going to take you through 5 U.S. cities where the middle class isn't just struggling, it's collapsing. Based on real stories and public data, this is a picture of a changing America. Not the one we hoped for, but the one many now face. 1. Phoenix, Arizona, the mirage of affordability. Imagine driving 30 minutes under the blistering sun for a carton of eggs, only to find empty shelves. Welcome to Phoenix. Once a haven for families seeking affordable housing and opportunity, Phoenix is now the poster child for quiet collapse. In the past 3 years, rent has soared over 40%. A 2-bedroom apartment? Nearly $1,800. The dream of homeownership? Fading fast, with average home prices crossing $430,000. Donna Dennis and her husband earn over $100,000 a year, but they still can't afford to live in the neighborhoods they want. I was seeing rent for $4,500 in Brooklyn prices, and I'm talking Central Phoenix, she said. A Tempe accountant shared. My salary hasn't changed since 2019, but my rent has nearly doubled. Groceries are so expensive, I use my credit card just to eat. Empty store shelves are common. Shoppers bounce from Walmart to Fry's, searching for toilet paper, noodles, or even cold medicine. Supply chain issues, especially from California, are blamed, but residents are past caring why. If there's something on the shelf today, they may not have money to buy it. If they have money tomorrow, the shelves might be bare. Panic buying isn't dramatic like during COVID. It's steady, quiet, and desperate. The middle class is now stockpiling because they've learned not to trust tomorrow. In Phoenix, the problem isn't losing everything all at once. It's the slow erosion of stability, of control, of the belief that working hard is enough to live decently. 2. Seattle, Washington, where tech dreams turn into debt. Seattle, home of innovation, coffee, and million-dollar condos, isn't feeling so futuristic anymore. The middle class here is cracking under pressure. In the past year, tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft have laid off tens of thousands. And not just coders, security staff, receptionists, logistics teams. The people behind the scenes who once had stable jobs, benefits, and a clear path forward. One building manager in Bellevue put it plainly. I write software, but I kept the building running. They laid me off, and I haven't found work since. His wife had her hours cut in healthcare. Their daughter postponed college. They still live in Seattle, but every month is a battle. A 1-bedroom apartment? Over $2,300. A gallon of gas? Nearly $6. A dozen eggs? Up to $9. Grocery trips now feel like scavenger hunts. Bread here, eggs there, meat maybe next week. Even in affluent areas like Capitol Hill and Northgate, store shelves go empty on weekends. Panic buying isn't loud, but it's relentless, and it reflects a fading trust in the future. Seattle was supposed to be the city of tomorrow, but for many, tomorrow looks bleak. For every Tesla parked to Whole Foods, there's a working-class family juggling night shifts to pay rent. The middle class isn't lazy. They're just exhausted and wondering how the American dream slipped so far out of reach. 3. Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City's wallet is empty. Chicago's winds are cold, but what's chilling residents more the bills. Electricity, gas, groceries. Everything is climbing. Wages? Stuck at the bottom. This iconic industrial city is now on the verge of recession. Major supermarkets like Walmart and Aldi have closed across the south and west sides, leaving working-class residents traveling up to 10 miles for fresh food. For many without cars, that means worse nutrition and higher costs. I'm not asking for a gourmet meal. I just want to buy milk 10 minutes from home, says a school HVAC worker. That store is gone. Now he spends $50 more on gas each month just to find groceries. Supermarket scenes resemble reality shows. People scrambling to grab milk, instant noodles, or anything remotely affordable. A can of tomatoes now costs what a latte did last year. Fixed costs, gas, electricity, water, home insurance, are climbing relentlessly. For a middle-class family with 2 kids, just surviving in Chicago now costs over $3,000 per month. Add in debt, medical bills, tuition, and there's little left. In unstable neighborhoods, families are splitting meals, skipping medications, and praying the next grocery run won't break the bank. Many are now considering food assistance, not because they're unemployed, but because being employed no longer means being secure. Chicago, once a model of the American work ethic, now makes the middle class question, if I work 3 jobs and still can't keep up, am I really middle class anymore? For Orlando, Florida, behind the magic, a harsh reality. The land of fairy tales and theme parks isn't so magical for the people who live there. Behind the castle gates and roller coasters, thousands of middle-class families are quietly drowning. Orlando has always thrived on tourism, but tourism has changed. Visitor numbers are down. Spending is lower. And the backbone of the local economy, service industry workers, are seeing their hours slashed or contracts canceled. A woman who worked at a major resort shared, "They didn't fire me. They just cut my hours from 5 days to 2. No explanation, no benefits, nothing. She sold her husband's old car just to pay rent. Average rent in Orlando? Over $2,000 a month. Gas? Around $5.50 a gallon. In working-class areas like Pine Hills, fresh food is a luxury. Baby formula, cooking oil, and canned goods routinely disappear from shelves by Thursday. Residents are now driving 20 miles just to find diapers. Panic buying is no longer panic. It's strategy. Stock up while you can. Wait too long and it's gone. And even for those who still have jobs, survival often depends on credit cards, side gigs, or hope. Orlando may be picture perfect for tourists, but for locals, especially the middle class, it's becoming a beautiful trap, glittering on the outside, but tough to live in behind the scenes. 5. Denver, Colorado. High in the mountains, low on stability. Denver, once the poster child for balanced living, is now pricing out the very people who made it vibrant. Surrounded by mountains and fresh air, the city has become a magnet for people fleeing even more expensive areas. But that wave of new arrivals brought sky-high rent and cost of living spikes with it. In just under 3 years, average rent has jumped over 35%. A 2-bedroom apartment? Around $2,400. Utilities and food? Also above the national average. A construction engineer from Aurora summed it up. "I've got a degree, 20 years of experience, no debt, and I still had to take a part-time job at Home Depot to pay bills." Even food banks are overwhelmed. Demand for assistance has doubled since early 2024. The people who used to donate are now the ones standing in line. Grocery stores like Safeway and King Soopers routinely run out of basic items on weekends, not because of panic buying, but because people simply can't afford to shop more than once a week, and when they do, they buy everything they can. The contrast is stark. On one street, million-dollar homes and lattes with oat milk. On the next, workers wondering how they'll afford heat this winter. Denver was once where people went to escape the rat race. Now it's where the middle class is wondering if they've already lost. The collapse is quiet but real. Think the economic storm is hitting just a few cities? Think again. Across the country, the middle class is being squeezed like never before, not just in 1 or 2 places, but from coast to coast. Empty shelves, rising bills, shrinking paychecks. It's becoming the new American reality. Let's start with Portland, Oregon. Once a symbol of progressive culture and booming creativity, Portland is now facing a harsher reality. Local stores are shuttering. Supermarkets are running out of basics. Residents joke that finding toilet paper is harder than landing a job. But it's no joke. It's a symptom of a broken supply chain and a struggling economy. Next stop, Atlanta, Georgia, a city known for its hustle, now facing a slowdown. Thousands of workers in logistics, restaurants, and retail have been laid off. Salaries? Stagnant. Bills? Always creeping higher like clockwork. For many, The dream of upward mobility is slipping through their fingers. Then there's San Diego, California, where sunshine is free, but everything else comes at a steep price. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment can swallow more than half a person's income. People are facing impossible choices. Fill the gas tank or fill the fridge. Some have stopped buying certain groceries just to keep the lights on. Chicago, Illinois, once the heart of the Midwest working class, is now seeing an exodus. Rising property taxes, grocery store closures in working neighborhoods, and a growing gap between wages and living costs have pushed many middle-income families to the edge. Entire communities are hollowing out. And in Phoenix, Arizona, inflation is eating away at every dollar. The housing market once welcomed middle-class families. Now it's pricing them out. Utility bills have jumped. Groceries cost more. And the job market isn't keeping up. For many residents, financial stress is the new normal. 5 cities, 5 different faces of the same crisis. And while each one tells a unique story, they all have something in common: the silent collapse of the American middle class. This crisis doesn't shout. It doesn't make headlines every day. But it's there, in the quiet desperation of families skipping meals to pay rent, in the empty shelves of their neighborhood grocery store, in the rising tension of bills stacking up while paychecks stay the same. This isn't just about economics. It's about identity. The middle class was once the backbone of the American dream. The promise that if you worked hard, you'd have a home, stability, and a future. That promise is fading fast. And it's not just Portland or Atlanta or Phoenix. It's happening in places big and small, from coastal cities to Midwestern towns. People are being forced to choose between basic needs. The safety net is stretched thin, and for many, it's already snapped. So here's the question. If the middle class is struggling this hard, what does the future hold for everyone else? Have you felt it? Are you living in a city where prices are rising and shelves are empty? Have you had to drive miles just to find a store that still is what you need? Are you juggling rent, gas, groceries, and electricity, all while trying to stay afloat? The middle class, the teacher, the nurse, the construction worker, the IT tech, was once the heartbeat of this country. Now, they're living paycheck to paycheck, watching prices rise and options shrink. You might still have a house. You might still have a job. But if you can't buy groceries, afford rent, or sleep without worrying about bills, are you really middle class? Tell us your story in the comments, because your voice matters. And maybe, just maybe, your experience is the wake-up call America needs right now.